Hello, my name is Diane, and with June only 1 week away, let's talk about some of the books that are coming out that I'm the most interested in. Seems like there's a lot of sequels coming out in June, most of which are two series I'm not currently reading, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, keeping me from adding too many things to my ever-growing TBR. But there are some first books in series as well as standalones that I'm looking forward to. So let's talk about those. First up, coming out on June 1st, kicking the month off, is Hammers of Fate by G.N. Gudgeon. This is the first book in the Runesong trilogy. The story follows our main character Adelaide, who grew up in the north learning about the old gods and being taught the skill of weaving runes into magic. She is taken from her home and forced to live in a convent far away where she has to worship a foreign god. Eventually, some inquisitors arrive who are planning to torture an innocent man, and Adelaide is compelled to rise up with some raiders who attack them and free this man and flee the convent. This group of raiders turns out to be the remnants of holy knights, what used to be holy knights. They are now treated as outlaws and fugitives and hunted down. There are very few of them left at this point in time. And Adelaide and these knights become companions, and they have some sort of magical item that they are being pursued by some very desperate, dangerous people for. Adelaide winds up living a very dangerous life on the run ever since this encounter, and somehow she's going to have some part into whatever larger thing is going on that she has now found herself a part of, involving the gods and the magic she possesses, as well as whatever this item is that the knights have. I think this sounds like a really interesting setup for a story, an interesting beginning, an introduction to this world and whatever is going on within it, who these knights are. I like the idea that they used to be holy knights and they were probably very highly regarded and respected, and now they're basically treated as criminals. And Adelaide, who probably just wanted to live a pretty simple, normal life, who has been forced out of that and now stumbled into whatever's going on with these knights, and now she is living a very dangerous life. I think it sounds like a really cool beginning to a story. Hopefully it lives up to that. Then coming out on June 13th, Morgan Is My Name by Sophie Keach. I, for some reason, thought this book was out already, but apparently it's not. I don't know if I just heard about it a while ago and thought it sounded interesting and then just assumed it had come out since then, because that feels like such a long time ago. But anyway, it doesn't appear to be out. June 13th seems to be the day. This is an Arthurian retelling, which is a setting and a story that I personally enjoy. I know it's not for everybody, but I generally enjoy the setting of Camelot and that core cast of characters. And this one focuses on Morgan, obviously, Morgan Le Fay. We meet her as a young woman when King Uther comes in and has her father killed and marries her mother, and he quite famously hates magic and doesn't want it in his kingdom at all. He doesn't want himself or his people to be associated with it in any way. Morgan, of course, is very interested in magic, very skilled at it, and secretly and defiantly teaches herself magic, where she enjoys the healing arts. She winds up falling in love with a man far below her social station, all things that would very much upset her stepfather Uther. She finds herself very isolated because of all of this, while also becoming a part of Uther's overall plots for whatever he has planned for this kingdom. I think Morgan seems to be portrayed in a lot of various ways in Arthurian retellings. Sometimes she is just a misunderstood ally who's really only considered dangerous because she has powerful magic, and that's not permitted in this kingdom. Very similar to Merlin, who also has very strong magic, but isn't allowed to let anyone know because he'd be deemed dangerous. And sometimes she is more of a villainous, powerful sorceress. And I think this one is going to shed her in a maybe more sympathetic light, at least at first. And I'm not sure where it's going to go after that, if she's going to become very vengeful because of the way she was treated by Uther and the way she had to hide everything that she is and cares about, or if she's going to continue to be that sympathetic character who we're supposed to be rooting for the whole time. I think that'll be interesting to see. Either way, I just enjoy Arthurian retellings, and I think seeing one centered around Morgan should be really cool. I think she's a very interesting character, and there's a lot of things you can do with her without altering her story too much. Then coming out on June 20th is Mage in the Endless Unknown by S.J. Miller. This is a graphic novel that opens in a lovely garden where a mage is taking a nap, and when they awaken through magic, open up a doorway into a mysterious unknown. They of course pass through this doorway and find themselves in a very dark and dangerous place. With the help of some companions, our mage is supposed to figure out what this place is, what's going on there, while also dealing with monsters and a great many other things that are trying to kill them for whatever reason. It sounds like it's going to start with a very optimistic setting, a very sunny outlook, a very positive, cheery character, and then throw them into a very dark, dangerous, terrifying world. I think that juxtaposition is very interesting. Should be very cool to see. Figuring out how this character, who seems very innocent, is going to deal with this very dangerous place, and also the mystery of what this place actually is, why they're there, what's going on. Sounds like a very cool setup. And I love a graphic novel. I haven't been reading them very much lately, so it's cool to see one that sounds very interesting. And the last book I want to talk about coming out on June 27th is Gods of the Weirdwood by R.J. Barker. This is the first book in the Forsaken series, and the story focuses on our main character Cain, who is known as the Forester, and he has a talent for traveling the deep forest. He can navigate its dangerous setting unlike anybody else, but before he was known as the Forester, he also belonged to the god of fire. So he has a very strong tie to that god as well. Udini is the goddess of the lost, a goddess of small things, and she ventures into the deep forest in search of a missing child, where Cain becomes her guide. In this world, there are a lot of sort of religious wars going on, battling for territory and land based on the gods and who temples and paladins worship. And where Cain is very much associated with the forest now, but used to be very much associated with fire, he finds himself torn between the two, and his decision could have a pretty big impact on this world. I think this sounds very interesting. It sounds like it has the potential to be a very large and complex world with all of these gods and the struggles between all of them and their worshippers for the land, and as well as learning about Cain and what his history with the god of fire is, and why maybe he's not currently associated with that, as well as why his decision is going to be so important. I'm not really sure if Udini and the lost child are going to have a larger role in his story, or if they're just what kicks him off on his path, but that should be very cool to see, and hopefully the beginning of an interesting series. Those are all the books I have to talk about today. Let me know if you're looking forward to any of these, if there are any other books you're looking forward to that are coming out in June. I'd love to hear about those. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.